Welcome to the video. That preview was really fun, wasn't it? I'm not going to do too much explaining here. It's my 1972 Maverick I pulled out of the junkyard. Needed a ton of work. We went through all the wiring, put some new headlights in, new bulbs, which you can see here. It looks pretty sweet. That's the fun part about the wiring. But full interior on a super budget, and it looks a million times better than when I started. It looks quite good, to be honest, especially for the fact I spent like 50 bucks on it. So we're going to start rolling into that right about now. I'm back working on the 72 Maverick today. There's a ton of stuff I have to get done. Today, I really want to knock out the electrical. Not today, it's going to be a couple days. I got the color laminated wiring harness diagram, which is so nice. And I actually have a generic harness. It was $100. It's labeled all right. I mean, some of these, you cannot see what they say. Some of the lighter color ones, which is kind of annoying. But it's a generic harness. I'm going to have to cut out this old one, splice into it. Hopefully all the connectors are good. Some of the specialty connectors I might not have, so hopefully those ones are good. I need power to the distributor. I have a temp gauge and then an oil pressure gauge. That's all that the motor needs. No relays for the fan, which I might eventually do. Right now it's just wired up to a switch. And then none of the bulbs work right now. The inside dash, actually, I don't have the battery hooked up. But some of the dash lights will turn on. The windshield wipers will turn on. The stereo will light up, but it won't work. Now that could be because the speakers don't work or aren't hooked up. But as you can see, there's all sorts of just horrible wiring, which is kind of the nature of some of these old cars, which is annoying. But it shouldn't take too long to go through it. The big thing is the dash is always a pain in the butt because there's not a lot of room in there. So I'm going to take the seats out, and that's the first thing I'm going to knock out today. I also have new steering column for it. Well, a new to me steering column. Came off a 66 Mustang. I'm not sure if it'll work, but the one I have right now, the ignition for whatever reason won't return, and it's just a funky in a couple spots. So I kind of want to replace it if it's easy enough. The problem with that one is, the new one I have, is the ignition itself. I don't have the key for it, which means I'm going to have to drill and do a whole bunch of not so fun things. So I might end up keeping this one. I don't know. That's the main thing. And then the taillights, I think they actually worked. I don't think the blinkers worked. And then the side markers, I might end up pulling those out and filling them with some metal, weld some metal in there, because I kind of don't like them. But that's the main thing. Just got to start knocking out the wiring, but the first thing is get the seat out. Boom! Seat's finally, oh, nope, it's not out yet. Is there any wires connected? They were at one time, but they're not anymore. This seat gave me such a pain in the behind. All the hardware was rusted. And this one right here, I don't know if you guys can see this right now. It was pretty funny. There was like part of the subframe was hooked up underneath the bolt. There's no way I was getting anything on the head of the bolt, but they didn't put a washer on it. So I just yanked it up through the hole in the floors, like the hole the bolt's supposed to go through, and it ended up coming out. But the seat wouldn't slide back, and I was able to get the other seat out, and I kind of look how the mechanism worked, because the one handle that was right here broke off. But got it out, got the other seat out. Here, I'll show you guys this. I cleaned this car out like at the beginning of summertime. Probably not even the beginning of summer, probably the middle of summer, and all sorts of mice got in it, which is really fun. I pulled where did it go? I had a mouse trap, and I had a couple mice traps in it. A couple confirmed kills, but got the seats out, got all the rest of the wiring pulled out, besides under the dash, because I was waiting for I had acetone ATF soaking on the bolts. But all the wiring up front's gone. The wiring in the rear is mostly gone, minus the fact that, oh, you probably can't see, it's going to be dark. Oh, I got my headlamp on, that works. This wiring runs through the interior, so I guess I could cut it and yank this out, but I'll probably end up doing that. That's pretty much the game plan. Strip the rest of the wiring out. I'm trying to get it done tonight. We're making progress, getting it knocked out, because this is not the fun part. Wiring's never the fun part, but it's going to make all the difference in the world in terms of safety and reliability and all that fun stuff, so I decided to take the carpet out because I was done rolling around in mouse crap. Got all the wires cut out. I'll show you that in a second. But if I can pull the carpet out, it is freaking horrible in here. I took the back seat out. That was the worst ever. I should have had a face mask on. I think I'm going to die of tuberculosis or something. I'm trying to save the carpet because it's not horrible in some spots, but some spots are a bit ripped. So we'll see if I can achieve that. I mean, they're only $200, but it'd be nice not to spend $200 if I don't have to. A bunch of sound deadening down here. Old school. Ooh, there's a random wire. Where the hell did that go to? gonna try to take this off separately. Oh my gosh. That's horrible. Oh. I just realized, and it makes sense, that this was a column shifter. I was looking at the steering shaft. I saw the old remnants, and then the steering column obviously has a little spot for a column shifter. Boom. Up, over. Ooh, what is this? Man, why is it being so difficult over there? Oh, and I also found some bad news underneath the seat that I'll show in a second as well. Oh! Oh! Ooh, that looks bad too. There was some water coming in the front windshield. The gasket went bad or something. And there's some rust underneath the dash too. That's not bad, or pretty bad. That's pretty gnarly. That was the rust I was seeing before, right down in there. I took the back seats out. I thought there was rust there and then a little bit on that side. But if you mess around, you look right there, you can see some daylight underneath here. Boom, that's like the heat. Right, it was leaking right above here from the windshield, and that all rotted out. And not to mention, all the mice decided to make a house in there, which really sucks. I mean, it's not that important. I don't think I'm gonna worry about having heat on this car. But the one good news is, the one piece of good news, besides the seat being absolutely horribly dirty, the seats are in really good shape, like really, really good shape. Pretty much got everything apart. I got all the wiring taken out of it. The carpet doesn't look. I mean, it's gonna need to be re-dyed, but it doesn't look horrible. Got all the interior stuff out for the most part, which you didn't have to do, but I was kind of tired of rolling around in the mice poop, although that does look better than the current alternative. Even though this had got all the sound deadening still on, it still looks pretty good. Let's see what it looks underneath. About the same. This is where the hole was on this side. Seems pretty solid. But other than that, everything's done and out. Minus that wire. I'm not sure where that one went. It's stuck on something, but yeah, there's no headliner. And I was thinking I can, because from what I've heard, you got to get a headliner in these, you pretty much have to take the windows out, which I don't want to do. Not pretty much, you have to take the windows out. And I don't want to do that, so I want to try to find a way around it. So I have some ideas, but that's not for right now. Right now, I just got to get the wiring knocked out. It's time to put it together. I'm going to worry about the rear end and then the front end first, and then we'll do inside the cab. That'll be the hardest, so I'll save that one for last. I'm hoping to knock this out in a couple days. And I'm finally back to the wiring. I went to go do the wiring, and I cut up the floor, or I saw the floor, and it was horrible. So I cut it up, put new floor in. It's pretty much done. I have to seam seal it, but decided to jump back in the wiring. I got the whole back of the car wired up. It's dark. You can't see anything. I haven't loomed it, because I'm going to test it, make sure everything works, and I'll make it look nice and clean. And I was just about to finish up the front lights on the car. Got this side done, and I started working on this side, and I ran out of the solder connectors. All the ones, the green ones and the blue ones, are the most common size, and they're all gone, so I had to order some. It looks pretty good, but this took me way longer than I thought it was going to. Part of the problem is when you run into I had to mess around with, like, some of the splices, like the high beams. They run one wire up here, and there'll be two that split out. But this is a generic harness, so they were super long, so I had to, like, cut them down and move them back so that I can run one to each side, and that took a little bit longer. Not to mention, it's kind of interesting the way they ran some of this stuff. On the driver's side, there's two connectors per, like, there's two for the high beam, two for the low beam, and then two for the ground. It's a generic harness, so I have these wired up to, like, the alternate exterior lights, which I'm hoping is when the car's on, will be on, so it'll be like a running light. And then I also wired up the side markers on the front and the back to go with the blinkers. But now that that's finally done, or mostly done, or a little bit done, or now that I'm waiting for stuff, I guess that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm going to start messing around with the interior. Now, I don't know how much I recorded of the interior beforehand, because I kind of got excited. Now that I got the whole dash out, it's going to make it way easier to paint, because you can see it's all rusty. So I'm just going to sand it down and then sand all the rust down and then paint it while everything in the dash is already out. Makes it easier than putting it all back together and then messing around with the interior. We're now, however many days later, I'm pretty much done with the wiring inside the car. There's a couple small things. The blinkers I can't get to work, so that's the big thing I had to figure out. There's, like I said, a couple other small things. But we have the headlights here, and I discovered that one of the bulbs doesn't work. I went and I ordered some of the halo bulbs. They're only like $40 for a set, which ended up being cheaper. Well, probably similar in price to just buying a replacement one. But the cool thing about these, the Halo is can be a blinker and a running light, and then I think the main headlights are in there. So with it being a running light and a blinker, I figured I can remove if I wanted to, the blinkers down here, the blinker and running light. I think it'd be a little bit sleeker. I think I'm gonna do that. Kind of curious what some of you guys think, but also delete the side markers. Just pop the bulbs out, and then I'll weld in some patches while I'm fixing up the rust on the car. Hoo-wee, we finally finished up the wiring. Hopefully it works. I guess we'll find that out later. Plan is to get it outside in the dark and get all the lights on, get the real good feel of it. But we can kind of take a look inside the car. Maybe we're not going to take a look inside the car because the door doesn't work right now. We'll have to take a look at that. But I guess we can just do a sneak peek. I already painted the dash. And it looks a lot better in there, but got the gauges in and all that. Took out the instrument cluster, painted that. But we're pretty much moving on, like I said, to the interior now that the electrical's done. And there's not a ton to do. A lot of it is comes down to the seats, and particularly this seat. You can see there's a rip in it. And I don't know how to sew at all. And new seat covers for this were like $700. Now I'm sure you probably find something else that would work better, but on a quick glance, that's what I found. So I was able to source this. By source this, I mean I went on Amazon and I bought it. And it's supposed to be like a patch panel for a couch is what they were marketing it as. It's sticky on the back. I also have some adhesive stuff I could use, but I'm thinking I'm gonna stick it on first because if it doesn't work, there's I don't want to ruin the leather behind it because my plan was to do both seats even though this seat's fine, just to kind of make it look uniform and blend it. And then there's like various plastic pieces, like you got the seat belts, like the holders, but the seat belt itself, they're all old and kind of sun bleached. So I was gonna dye all that stuff along with the carpet. The carpet was a bit rough and really dirty. But now we got the floor in. Look at this. Look at this. You guys check this out. This is the last video we did. We just did the floors on it. It looks good. But the carpet, I didn't want to spend $120. Or it was like $150. So the plan is on the carpet is to clean it because they're freaking dirty. There's mouse crap all over it. But then we're going to dye it with the stuff. And hopefully the dye holds. Because some of the, like I dyed the seat over here just to kind of test it out. Right there I dyed it. And you can't tell at all. So sometimes the dye just absorbs super hard in the fabric. I'm sure if I sprayed enough coats on it, it would, hold a little bit better. But I don't really want to do that. So hopefully the carpet looks good, and we can start working on some of this stuff, dyeing it, cleaning it up. And then this seat, the driver's seat, doesn't slide back and forth, so have to fix the mechanism. When I taken it out, I think I figured out what the problem was. I don't know how easy the solution is going to be, at least to make it look good. But and then we'll clean the tracks up and paint them, and we'll start putting stuff in. I have some headliner stuff. I don't think I'm putting the headliner in this time around, but I have sound deadening stuff that I'm going to put in for the headliner because, to be honest, I don't feel like doing the headliner right now, but I want to at least get something on the roof, and then we're going to paint the doors like we painted the inside of the doors. It's like, it's all crappy, and then you see how good how good the dash turned out. I really like the way it turned out. Nice flat black look on it. But do the same thing to the doors and kind of get all this stuff knocked out and progress on in the project. Vacuum the carpet. It looks pretty dang good for what it started off with. Now I just got to hope the dye will actually dye it, because sometimes the dye won't dye it, which is kind of sucky because the dye is supposed to dye it. But the only problem we're going to run into, and it's not really a problem, but there's still some mice dingleberries left on the edge, which kind of sucks. But it's going to be underneath the back seat. So if you can't see it, that means it doesn't really exist. So I think we're good, and hopefully the dye does its thing. While I was waiting for the carpet to dry, I decided to spray some of the panels because it's just going to look better. And that's kind of how the one door panel turned out. It wasn't horrible, but it looks a million times better. This over here is how it started. So a major improvement. The carpet's looking pretty good. I'll have to do one more coat on it. But I was rolling over here. I was trying to figure out the seat. I figured out what the problem was. It just needed to be lubricated a little bit. But right here, I don't know if you can see, that's where the slidey part for the seat is supposed to, the handle is supposed to mount. And it completely snapped off. It is right about here. You can see the end of it snapped. So I was looking for a handle. So I was thinking about making a handle, and I was looking through my different bits and bobs of random scraps, and I came up with something. While I was looking through, I found something or other. I think it was like a blade for a lawnmower, but came across this, and I feel like this would work perfect. You got the bend out, so it gets itself away from the seat, and it's kind of cool, but it's a 10 millimeter, so that ain't gonna work. You can't have a 10 millimeter on the car. And I came up with this one. I found this extra wrench, and obviously the screw. This is the right thread pitch to bolt into where it was before. And obviously that ain't gonna work, so I got the correct size nut for it. And I figured as long as I weld the nut in flush, geez, go in there, I can screw the screw in, and it will hold it nice and sturdy. So I think I'm gonna weld this up and get it mounted. I think I'll probably end up painting it black so it blends in with everything if it works. But we'll find out here in a second. We moved on to the most interesting project of this interior revival, I guess, and that's to see if that the cover I have for it, not the cover, but the vinyl will actually stick to it and look decent. There's that big hole in the back, and then there's a side one. There's one small one on the other seat too, so I'm gonna get to working on that, and we can actually see if it'll turn out decent and save me $750 on seat covers. We're looking at putting the rest of the seats in, or the seats in, the front and back panels, the kick panels, the steering wheel. Wait to put that in, make it a little bit easier to put the seat in. That's the game plan right now, and we can knock that out. We'll do a big reveal at the end. We'll get the car outside in the night, get to show off the lights. Looking pretty sweet, and show off the head unit and the. I think you'll be a little bit surprised how good the like 30-year-old Pioneer speakers sound. I was pretty happy with it, and the mix of the $40 head unit. That's what we're rolling into right about now. Boom! The sound deadening on the roof is in. It looks pretty good. A little bit dark in there because I got everything taped up to paint the dash and in the back. But the sound deadening turned out looking pretty cool. That's not the point of it, but in the meantime, when I don't have a headliner, I could probably just paint this ridge line a little bit, and it'll actually look decent, which is nice. If no one's ever seen this before, it's pretty much the same no matter what brand you get. I like this brand. It's a little bit thicker than the other ones, and it's super cheap. Like I said, I think I got it on Amazon for like $45, but it's just like a sticky adhesive on one side, and then the sound deadening heat shield on the one side. And it's my most favorite thing to do on cars. I don't know why. It's super satisfying to do, and it looks pretty good when you're all done. I got some more, and I'll end up doing the whole back because I have enough paint to do. And then yeah, I got a little more over there, but I was doing the head unit as well. There's some cool little features on that I'll show you guys a bit later, but making some progress. The dash has got to go in. I got to paint the front and back, and I got to paint the doors, but we'll get to that when we get to that. One thing I want to show really quick before we do the final reveals, I'm actually making some panels for the back. I just cut out a piece of cardboard, was trimming it to get it to fit, and I'm not going to do headliner immediately and slide this in. It'll slide behind the plastic pieces, and it'll actually hold up, get a nice reveal when it's all done, but I think it's going to work pretty well. I just have the adhesive I ended up using on the seats, the fabric. I'm just tracing out the backside, pulling it off, sticking it on. So I got to do the driver's side one next. All right, that pretty much wraps up the project on the car. Got the interior looking really clean. Oh, look at this. Gotta show you. Flick it into accessories mode. I don't know why, but that's exciting. Everything all lights up. Car works well. Starts right up, and the seats look like they're gonna hold up really well. They've been on for about a month now. Nothing's thought about peeling, and pretty happy with everything, how it turned out. Not perfect, but the inside of the car is pretty much to the point where I want it to be at. Obviously, there's still a ton of stuff I got to do and balance on the outside, but I even got the exhaust done, which you got to check out the next video and hear it. It sounds freaking crazy, but that wraps this one up. Got a little before and after. Freaking got it. It was super dirty. Cleaned it up. All the wiring still needs to be loomed up in the engine bay, but other than that, the wiring's done. Interior is done and clean. Everything's looking way more fresh. Got the shifter looking better. Dyed the carpet. Cleaned up the side panels. Repatched the back seat. Painted the entire dash and the doors. Pretty much that's the extent of it. And the sound system, for it being 25 years old, sounds really good. The backup camera works and everything, so that's pretty sweet. Interior, back of the interior is nice and clean. And that wraps this one up. Check out the next one. We actually do the exhaust, and the exhaust was a whole lot of fun. I think the car is way too loud now, but I guess it's really hard to be too loud.